Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam everyone. We will continue with the Shivopasana mantra. The next mantra is Sharvaya Namaha. Sharvaya Namaha. Okay. The simple name is Sharvaha. Sharvaha. There are a couple of meanings which are given to this. The word supposed to come from a couple of roots. One is shru or sharu. In both cases, it means someone who destroys, hurts, injures, and things like that. These are the meanings. But in this case, the Lord brings about the end of everything. He destroys the ignorance or what is not right, what is asat, and he brings about the final dissolution, a pralaya, as some would call it. So Shiva is considered the Lord who brings about dissolution in this world. So Sharvaha. So you can say one who causes destruction and the final dissolution. Generally, it may seem like a negative meaning, but what exactly he does is he destroys the negative so that only positive remains. Because he is the positive, so he remains. What is positive in us also will remain. So that is the meaning of Sharvaha. One who brings about, destroys everything that is bad. I think that's a good way for us to take this meaning in us. As whenever we chant this name, Sharvaya Namaha, all that is bad in us is destroyed. And only the divinity, which is the essence of us, will remain, which we have already looked at in the first mantra itself, Nidhana Pataye Namaha, Nidhana Patantikaya Namaha. So that means one who remains at the end is him. So now we are going, he is the one who causes this dissolution, that is Sharvaya Namaha. So the next mantra is, I think, I was told to repeat a few times, so I will just repeat it 3 times. Sharvaya Namaha. Sharvaya Namaha. Sharvaya Namaha. So we'll go to the next mantra. Sharva Lingaya Namaha. Sharva Lingaya Namaha. So it comes from the previous mantra it sort of relates to the previous mantra, just like all the other two pairs of mantras which we have seen. One who brings about tranquility. So it is the lingam or the symbol which brings about tranquility, calmness, and joy is the meaning I have given. Because at the end, because this Sharva also comes from another root called Sham. Okay, Sham means that which is calm. He brings about tranquility. So I told about Shru and Sharu, but this actually is Sham. Okay. So I have given that meaning here. That's what the commentators have given. I have used one of the commentaries by a great scholar or Rishi, as some call. It's called Shayana. So Shayanacharya had done commentary on many of the Vedas. Supposed to have lived in the 13th century, 14th century time frame. So he has done commentaries on many of the Vedas, Upanishads, and so on. So this comes from his work. Okay, so he says Sham is another root from which Sharva comes, and that's so the lingam which brings about calmness, tranquility, and great joy. Mahat Sukha, that's what he says. Okay, so that's the meaning which I given. So that's that symbol which gives us all that calmness, which comes at the end when everything comes to rest. That's nidhana. When you put everything down, I think that was another meaning which we looked at. Nidhana pataye namaha. It gives great inner joy because the external is all destroyed. So Sharva Lingaya Namaha. Sharva Lingaya Namaha. Sharva Lingaya Namaha. Sharva Lingaya Namaha. You'll go to the next name, mantra. Shivaya Namaha. Shivaya Namaha. I think everyone knows this, so I don't want to dwell on it too much. I think we'll get many opportunities to discuss Shiva. Shiva is the simple name. Shiva means auspiciousness. So Shiva is one who is auspicious. He is himself auspiciousness. Okay. So salutations to the Lord or Master who is auspiciousness of all kinds. That's only one thing, which is auspiciousness, which is that which remains at the end. To that Shiva. There are many meanings given. It's considered the most sacred mantra in the entire Vedic literature. Or Namah Shivaya or Shivaya Namah. So that is Shivaya Namaha, auspiciousness. Look at the next mantra. Shiva Lingaya Namaha. Shiva Lingaya Namaha. Shiva Lingaya Namaha. Sorry. I made a small mistake here. So simple name is Shiva Lingam. So the Lingam of auspiciousness, the symbol of auspiciousness is Shiva Lingam, which is what we all worship. I just wanted to point out here, because when all of us now we think when it's Lingam means Shiva Lingam. I think I previously had said Linga means it's a mark, it's a symbol, it's a pointer. There's always a lot of debate because in the Vedic literature, the use of linga only happens here mainly, and there are maybe one or two other instances, but the word linga itself is used only in Shivopasana mantra, which is in the Taittiriya Aranyaka. So there are many who debate saying that lingam as a form which we use today was a later manifestation, because when these mantras were chanted and recited, they were not referring to a linga form. Anything which points, anything which is a symbol of auspiciousness is Shivalinga in this world. But later on, Agamas, Shaiva Agamas actually brought about the form of lingam and so on, and how it should be. They are also rishis. But if you look at it, Rama is supposed to have done Shivalinga puja at Rameshwaram. So the concept has been there, but in the Vedic literature, this is the Shivopasana mantra is the place where the word lingam is used predominantly. So I thought I would just point that out. So Shiva Lingam. So whenever we watch, that's a symbol of auspiciousness. We'll go to the next name. Jwalaya Namaha. Jwalaya Namaha. So Jwalaha is the simple name. Jwala means a flame which is burning brightly. Jwala, a flame or light which is usually flame which shines or burns brightly. It's burning brightly, okay? Jwalaya Namaha. Jwalaya Namaha. Jwalaya Namaha. I thought I will, what is this light, which flame or whatever we worship. I thought I will take some excerpts from Swami's discourses and go through with you. So I'm just going to read. Because Jwala is nothing but Jyoti also, the light, a flame. So I will just read. The word light or Jyoti in the Upanishads does not connote the physical light of the material world. It is not the light which we think is light or Jyoti or flame in a lamp or anything like that. When material limits or qualifications like feet are specified, how can the immanent, all-pervasive entity be indicated? Means if you give it form, like feet, hands, and all that, you cannot. The all-pervasive entity, one who is spans the entire universe, you cannot really indicate a form with hands, feet, a physical form. It cannot refer to that. Such a limited or qualified phenomenon cannot become the object of adoration and meditation. If you limit the form, then it cannot become a good object for us to meditate. It's not even qualified or phenomenon for us to meditate on. When the word light is understood to mean the light having certain natural characteristics, it cannot signify Brahman or universal absolute. So if we think, if we imagine a flame and think that is God, Swami says it cannot even signify the real Brahman, the absolute, the universal absolute. Okay. Then he goes on to say, therefore, the cosmic person is beyond bounds, measures, or degrees. The divine light, Jyoti, illumines heaven and beyond and reveals even Brahman. So the light which we are imagining, it even illumines the heaven. So and beyond that also. That which makes known by its splendor the era preceding the origin of living beings and the regions beyond even the farthest and the highest. That is indicated by the word Jyoti. So that means it is reaching even the time before the creation took place. It goes beyond even the farthest star which we see. So that is the type of light which Swami says the Vedas refer to. It shines in that supremest among the supreme regions. Note also that the same divine light shines everywhere, at all times, and in all beings. It comprises existence, asti or sat, illumination and knowledge, bhati or chit, and joy or bliss, priya or ananda. Swami is using the two pair. There are three names given to the Parabrahman: Sat, Chit, and Anandam, or Asti, Bhati, Priya. These are three words which are used. Three words, two pairs of three words used to describe that Brahman. Okay, Asti, Bhati, Priyam, or Sat, Chit, and Anandam. All things seen in the universe have the unseen as their base. Whatever light we see, there's an unseen light also, which is there, which is the foundation on which everything rests. All things that move and have the unmoving as their base. Anything which moves has something on which it's dependent, which is unmoving. So too, for every living being. Why? For the very cosmos itself, the invisible Brahman, Supra Truth, is the base. It is this Parabrahman, the Omni-Self, that causes the cosmos to shine. Divine light Jyoti is appropriate only for this light and not the limited, inferior physical light. Divine light has neither beginning nor end. It is supreme light, Param Jyoti, the light without a second, Advaita Jyoti, the eternal, unbroken light, Akhanda Jyoti. In other words, it is the supreme Brahman itself. For all this is revealed only in and through it. So Swami, actually this is from a book called Sutra Vahini, which Swami, in a series of articles Swami wrote. That's on the Brahma Sutras. Brahma Sutras is a text put together by Vedavyasa, and this is actually from that. So Swami, in chapter 10, he is writing about one of the sutra in that, which is Dyotish Charana Abhidhana. So I will, it's not a sutra discussion. So that is the context of this writing by Swami. So I thought when we talk about Jwalaya Namaha, which relates to the flame which is burning brightly. So that is, so I thought I will mention that. We will go to the next name. Jwala Lingaya Namaha. Jwala Lingaya Namaha. Jwala Lingaya Namaha. Jwala Lingaya Namaha. So Jwala Lingam, the linga of effulgent flame. This flame, the linga, and when it becomes a symbol, an object, to that lingam, we bow down. We salutation to the linga of effulgent flame. So in this context, I thought I would talk about the story as a story of Shiva appearing as a light, a flame, a jyoti to Brahma and Vishnu. Apparently, they were this is the Puranic story that they were thinking whose work is better, who is bigger, whether Vishnu or Brahma. They had some argument. So apparently Shiva appeared as a flame and said, look here, if whoever either sees the top or the bottom, any end of this flame, that person becomes the victor. He's better than the other. So the story is both Brahma and Vishnu try to find the end point of this flame, and they could not find. So that is called the Jwala Lingam or Jyotir Lingam, which is believed to be the place there that Jyoti became a lingam, which is Tiruvannamalai in South India. That's one of the lingas, which symbolizes this effulgent flame which expands and encompasses everything and does not have any end. There are considered to be 64 Jyotirlingams in India. Of the 64, 12 Jyotirlingams are considered to be very special. From in the south, there is Rameshwaram, which has a lingam, which is considered one of those 12. Then there are, if you go north, there are quite a few, including Kashi and Triambakeshwar and so on. You can look up their articles. So they are called Jyotirlinga. They all symbolize this Jwala Linga. And so I thought I would just mention it's not necessarily, it's just related to this. So many lingas are considered Jyoti lingas in India. I will go to the next name. Atmaya Namaha. Atmaya Namaha. Atmaya Namaha. For this Atmaya, the simple name is Atmaha, which is a very rare usage in the Vedas, because in classical Sanskrit, the regular Sanskrit, Atman is the word which is used. For Atman, the fourth vibhakti or the two that Atman means Atmane will come. But here Atmaya comes. So Atmaha is a very rare usage within the Vedas. So what the meaning is one who is the self. Self means not our small self, it's the self which expands and that remains. That is within everything. That is the one which makes everything in this world function. That Atma, that self. To that self we bow down. Atmaya Namaha. Okay, we will go to the next name. Atmalingaya Namaha. Atmalingaya Namaha. Atmalingaya Namaha. So Atmalingam is the symbol of the lingam. It's a symbol which symbolizes Atman. That Atman which is dwelling in everything and it encompasses everything. I will again take Swami's discourse to go through this. This also, I think there was a question by, I think, Auntie Sakku last time about whether we should consider it within us or something like that. So I told her, Auntie, I will deal with it later on. So I will. It should be covered here. I think today she is not here, so doesn't look like.
I am here, sir. I don't know.
Okay, Sai Ram, Auntie. I do see Sai Ram. So I've taken an excerpt from one of Swami's discourses where he's talking about Atmalingam. It is one of the Shivaratri discourses, I think 1965. Contemplate the Atmalinga. So the translation says spirit of the soul, but the Jyotirlinga, the effulgent form, which this day emerges from me, Swami is saying. Be convinced that the Linga is in every one of you, for it is a mark of the Shiva that resides in the Shava, which is the body shell. So all of us have a Shava, and within that there's a Shiva, which is what makes it function. When the Shivam leaves, everyone will call it Shavam or the corpse. So that's what Swami is referring to. Allow the vision of the Atma Linga to enter into your inner consciousness and elevate it into divine heights. Do not waste the few days that you are bent on spending at the Prashanthi Nilayam into days of hectic chatter, vain disputation, idle curiosity, or restless wandering. The Swami is also telling this to everyone who has assembled at Prashanthi Nilayam. Look here, you have come here. Don't spend the time on just chatter, talking to people and this and that, just noisy activity, vain disputation, just arguing, debating, or idle curiosity, goes looking here, goes in there, or restless wandering, just roaming around. Swami says, don't do any of that. Try to cultivate this ability of seeing the Atma Linga within you, which Swami says, which is the one which makes all us functioning. That is the self which is in everything and everyone, making everything in this world function. So this is from the 1965 Shivaratri discourse. I have another excerpt also. What is the sanctity of Shivaratri? Your answer, Linga emerges from Swami's Udara, from Swami's abdomen. In fact, the Linga is in every one of you. In the Angam, which is the body, there is Jangam. In the body of, it's always movement. Janga means there is movement, activity. If we are able to move, that is Jangam. Okay, activity. Towards it. In Jangam, there is Sangam. In this movement, there arises attachment or association, you can say. In Sangam, there is Lingam. Through attachment and then consequent suffering, the individual learns the need for and efficacy of the Linga or God, who is his innermost core. So in the body, there is, because of Shiva, there is in this Angam, there is Jangam, there is movement, and that movement called Sangam. Either we attach to the world, or we can even have Satsangam, which is attachment to the Sat. So when the external Sangam doesn't work out, we go to the inner Sangam or Satsangam. And Swami says that is efficacy of Linga or God, who is the innermost core. Witness the Atma Linga that emerges and derive bliss therefrom, but make yourself worthy for deriving it. So he says we should, the real Atma Lingam, seeing Swami's manifestation is to see the Atma Lingam within us, is what Swami say. So it's, so I thought might as well use Swami's words to explain Atma Lingaya Namaha. So whenever anything which we see in this world, if it is moving, active, that's the Shiva within the Shava, or that's the one which makes everything function. Go to the next mantra.
I have a question, brother.
Yes, sister.
Sorry to interrupt you with the lingam. Is it supposed to be inert?
So I think from, if you read what Swami says, the lingam is maybe inert, lingam by itself, but I think Atma Lingam means.
Yes, Atma is always,
Yes.
yeah.
So that Atma Lingam is, I think, the created piece within us, which is the closest to that original spirit, is what I understand. But it's a pointer. It's, in that sense, you can call it inert. Like every one of us is a form, which is actually Shavam, inert, but within that there is the Atman, which is the shining force. But because it's associated with the Atman, that is also divine.
Yes, but if there is movement
right.
in the body happening with the different angam, and in that sense, I was thinking
Yes,
maybe.
exactly. I think you are right. But Atma is the one. Yes, you are in that sense. Yes, That's why, Atmaya Namaha and Atma Lingaya Namaha. So the prayer is to the Atman, which is the real essence.
Mhm.
The Atma Linga means the Linga within which the Atman is, which points us to the Atman, that is also considered divine.
Right.
But that is, yes, I think, very nice point, sister. Thank you.
Thank you so much for explaining. Sairam.
Yes, Kalyani, please go ahead.
Sairam, uncle, so you said there's still a difference between the Atman and the Atma Lingam. Like in terms of other terms that we've learned about, like is the Atma Linga like the Anandamaya Kosha, or can we relate it to some other term that we might have learned about?
I think yes, you could say Anandamaya Kosha, because from the description of Swami, pure bliss, Sat Chit Anandam. So even in our grossest sense, the Anandamaya Kosha is the closest which comes to the Atman.
Okay.
In that sense, you are right. But in the ultimate Advaita Tattva, there is no duality. It only appears as an inner thing, or appears as something which is different from Atman. But Swami would say that is also Atman. The linga does not exist, but it is just our mind sees that as two different things. Also, is another view. But yes, Anandamaya Kosha is the closest we can understand as a human being and from an experiential level. Because beyond that, we won't even call it Ananda, I think, once you merge.
Thank you.
Sairam, Aruna.
Yes, Sai Ramati.
Because there are questions, I want to just confirm this. You are talking about the Jodi meditation. Usually where we sort of do Jodi meditation, but Swami says, that worldly flame is not sort of appropriate.
So if I think in Jyoti meditation also Swami says, because the problem with the mind is, to understand a concept, it has to rely on something which it sees outside. So that's why Swami says you concentrate on the flame. So the mind is controlled. Then you bring that flame within you, and then there is a point where that flame expands to include everything and everyone in this world. That is the Jyoti Swami wants us to meditate. But we have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think for that purpose, we use an external Jyoti, so that we understand what it is, and then you expand it to that final Jyoti Lingam itself. Is my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
You have to start somewhere.
Okay.
Like if to read something, you have to start with A, B, C, D. Just because we know A, B, C, or the alphabet does not become we know the language. But one day we will learn the language using this ABC. So I think it's similar to that, is my understanding.
Okay.
I think Swami has talked about it in other places. Side. Yeah, because we should not think, oh, we are doing Jyoti meditation until we reach the final state.
Oh.
So I will go to the next. So the next name, Paramaya Namaha. Paramaya Namaha. Paramaya Namaha. Paramaha means the supreme one. Supreme one is called Parama. Para itself means the other. So Paramaya is that supreme which is beyond the otherworldly being, the supreme one. Swami has also used in a couple of places the supreme Jyoti. So the Parama, the one which is the supreme, the most best, the highest, to that supreme one, our salutations. Paramaha. Paramaha is the simple name. To that Paramaya, Paramaya Namaha. Next name we will go to Parama Lingaya Namaha. Parama Lingaya Namaha. Parama Lingaya Namaha. Parama Lingaya Namaha. So Parama Lingam, the symbol of the Supreme. To that lingam we bow down. So to that pointer, that which point to that Supreme, to that object, to that symbol, we bow down. So far we have covered 22 names. Actually, you would have said Nidhanapataye onwards. So you can see 11 pairs we have covered. So that sort of completes all the 11 names or 22 names where we bow down and pray and worship. You can say they are descriptions of that essence. You can say Rudra himself or Shiva. So we come to the last section which completes this Anuvaka. Okay. I think I started out saying it is the 16th Anuvaka and so on. In Mahanarayana Upanishad. Okay, so here I will just read, we'll spend a little bit of time here with this. Etat somasya suryasya sarvalingag stapayati pani mantram pavitram. Read again. Etat somasya suryasya sarvalingag stapayati pani mantram pavitra. Look at the meaning first. So this etat somasya, there are two words, etat and somasya. I have put the meaning this. Etat usually means this. And I have also put the word tat. So in Sanskrit, tat means that, means something which is far. An object which is far is always referred to as tat. Etat means that object which is close by, nearby. Okay, anything which is far, we say tat. This means etat. Okay. So we have been describing a divine entity all this time. What we have described, etat, this entity or that entity, that which we have been talking about. So that's the way I have taken it, as many commentators mean all these mantras. But etat is a singular one. So that means it is referring to this entity which has been described in all these 22 mantras. Etat. Then the next one is somasya. Somasya as soma. That which belongs to the soma is somasya. Of the soma. It belongs to soma. So what is this soma? So there in many Vedic places they will say there's a creeper called soma, which is the juice of which is used in all yajnas and so on. But Swami says soma is moon. Soma also refers to moon, which refers to the mind. Swami always quotes from Purusha Suktam, Chandrama Manaso Jata. So from moon, the mind is born. So somasya means moon or the mind principle. Okay, so that we'll come back to that. Suryasya. Suryasya means of the sun. Suryaha is the sun. Suryasya means of the sun, that which belongs to the sun. Sun's apostrophe S. Okay, of the sun. Swami will again say, what is sun? Sun is, that is your eye, because in again Purusha Suktam, Chaksho Suryo Ajayata. So just the way from the mind principle is born from the moon, the eye principle, or the ability to see, that principle is born from the sun. So of the eye also you can say, what is eye? Nothing but knowledge. The sun of knowledge, as Swami would say. So this, okay, so eighth, I will go through all of them and then come back to the meaning, what it may mean. So then we'll take the next word. For people who are learning Vedam, it's Sarva Lingag, double G or something like that, you will see in your transliteration. Actually, that this double G is something which is very unique, a sandhi which is unique, a junction which is unique only in Yajurveda, not for the other three Vedas. Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda don't have this kind of sandhi. It's only unique to Yajurveda. Okay. The original word is actually Sarvalingam. Sarvalingam Sthapayati. If you want to keep it very simple, Etat Somasya Suryasya Sarvalingam Sthapayati. This becomes a dot when it comes together. That's called an anuswara. I think we have discussed that when we learned the alphabet. This is anuswara. So which is also pronounced the same way, Sarvalingam. But in Yajurveda, it becomes a bit more nasal, as you can see, half moon here. Okay, that symbolizes that there's a sandhi happening. Okay, that sandhi has different modifications depending on the position. The letters which precede and the letters which succeed after that which follows. Anything which precedes and follows, both are looked at, and the sound, how it's pronounced, changes. Okay. Generally, there are two significant ones which I would say 3, 4. For example, if this anuswara comes in front of ya, it becomes e. I think many of you know tachai or ravuni mahe, like that. That tacham becomes chung and chain. E. So it's a nasal sound with ya. E. In some places, when it follows by la, it becomes il. Okay, and so on. Okay, if it is followed by ka or ga, ka varga, it becomes ng. If it's followed by ja varga, it becomes in, nya, and so on. In. So those are some of the ways it changes, anuswara changes. But when it is followed by a few, I have not listed it out. A, sa, ha. That the becomes either gum. Okay, gum. Generally, they put a G and M. Okay. Ganapati gum. I think we have already looked at Ganapati gum. And this gum, this anuswara changes is there are multiple schools of thought as to how it should be pronounced. Gum is a very common one. Gung is another one. There are people who just say it should be So there are multiple schools of thought as to how it is pronounced. There are a lot of debates, but I think generally we in our circles we are pronouncing it as gum. But this gum is generally pronounced that way, but there's a slight difference when it is followed by what is called a compound consonant. When it's followed by a compound consonant, in this case it is st, okay, st, okay, two consonants and then a vowel. Two consonants and then a vowel is compound consonant. Then this, instead of gum, it stops with g. So generally they put double G. Double G basically means you sort of, it's an emphasized g. So that is why it's called Sarva Lingag Stapayati. Okay. So that's Sandhi. I thought I will just give you some idea, because otherwise you may wonder what it is. So Sarva Lingag, some people would say Sarva Lingag Stapayati. That's the way they would pronounce it. So whatever suits, I don't want to get into the debate, but however you are taught, you just follow that. But the real word is Sarva Lingam. Okay. Sarva Lingam means the symbol of all. It's not all the lingas. Lingam is only one. Sarva Lingam, all this, the lingam which symbolizes everything. Sthapayati, establishes. Etat sthapayati. This one establishes. Which one? All that divinity, that God, that supreme power, which we have described in 22 names, that one establishes. What does it establish? The symbol of all. That symbol which signifies everything in this universe. Sarvalingam stapyati. Etat Sarvalingam stapyati. And the Sarvalingam, who does it belong to? What does it belong to? That lingam belongs to Somasya, the mind. Suryasya, to knowledge. So this pointer, the symbol, belongs to the mind and for knowledge. Okay. Etat Somasya Suryasya Sarvalingam Stapyati. So this God establishes, so he implants that thing in our mind and in our knowledge. Okay, so that is what this entity which we have worshipped does. It basically, it makes the divinity implanted in all of us. Okay, in our mind and in our sight. What we see also, so we are able to see divinity. That's what it means. Etat somasya suryasya sarvalingam stapayati. For meaning purposes, sarvalingam only we will use. Etat somasya suryasya sarvalingam stapayati. Okay, we will go to the next two words. We are going to cover Pani Mantram. Pani Mantram Pavitram. If you take the word Pani, generally in modern day common Sanskrit, they refer to it as hands. Pani. Hands are called Pani. In the Vedic literature, it also relates to the hoofs of a horse. So that means feet. So it refers to feet also. So many of the commentators say the Pani refers to all our limbs. All our limbs are also referred to as Pani. Pani comes from the word, from a word called Pana. Pana. Pana means doing business, any exchange, any trade. That's all called Pana. So Pani means that which is handed over in a trade. So you go and you give it to somebody and somebody gives something to you. So that is received. So the thing which receives is also called Pani. So the hand which receives a gift, hand which gives a gift, that action of giving and receiving, that is Pani. So it is also, the gift is also called Pani, present. Okay, so there are multiple meanings for this Pani. So we will leave the thought as is and we will come back to it later. The next one is mantra. I think we all know. I think we have discussed Manana Trayate iti mantra. I think what is a mantra? I think one of the, I don't know, many weeks before we had covered it, the meaning of the word mantra. That means that which protects us when we bring it, when we repeatedly remember, recollect. Manana Trayate iti mantra. That mantra sound, the more we remember, then it will protect us from everything. That is mantra. It also means all the Vedic words, sounds are mantras. Pranava mantra, Om is a mantra. So every word is a mantra. Okay. Pavitram, that which purifies. That which burns all the bad things and purifies is called Pavitra. Okay. So we'll go back to the Sarvalingam. God, Etat is God. He establishes the Sarvalingam. What is that Sarvalingam? It is Pani Mantram and it is Pavitra. Okay. That means it's another way of, that's adjective of this Lingam. Pani Mantra means it protects all our activities, all our limbs. Pani. Mantram, our thinking, everything it protects. Through that it protects. So it can also mean, Pani can be activity. Any activity in this world is also Pani. Pani Mantram, both are together. Pani and Mantram, Pani and thinking, the thought and deed. So Pani can be said deed, mantra can be the thought. Okay. And speech also mantra. Okay. All that is purified, it's protected. That is Pavitra. So that Lingam is Pavitra and it's also Pani Mantra. Okay. So I have given the meaning. This establishes the Linga of all. The Linga which represents all. Of the sun of knowledge. Of the mind. Which purifies actions and thoughts. That's the meaning which I have given here. You wonder what is the authority on which I do this. So I have taken an excerpt from one of Swami's discourses. Do the besprinkling, Abhisheka, of the Atma, symbolized by the oval stone, the Atma Linga. So do the Abhisheka of the Atma, symbolized by the Atma Linga, with the pure waters of your own mental impulses, mantra, manana trayate. When the mind moves in one direction and the senses in another, you are doubly confused. So keep attachments afar. When that is done, whatever you do becomes a sacrifice, yajna. Whatever you speak becomes a holy mantra. Wherever you plant your foot, renders that place holy. This is something which Krishna is telling Arjuna, and Swami is mentioning that in chapter 10 of Gita Vahini. So what he says is, by taking our mind towards the divinity, to that Atman symbolized by the Atma Linga, the pure waters, our thinking will become purer, Pavitram. It also purifies. And then, wherever you plant your foot, it becomes holy. That is, we said Pani also, every limb, whatever you touch becomes holy. Anything you do becomes holy, it becomes a yajna. Okay. So, all this is explained by this mantra. Etat somasya suryasya sarvalingam sthapayati pani mantram Pavitra. So if by doing this meditation, doing this prayer regularly, this Swami assures that we will divinize ourselves, our body, Angam, the Jangam, the movement, will become Sangam with the Lingam. Through that, we will be merged in the Lord. This is the Shiva Upasana. This is the prayer in thought, word, and deed. The prayer to the Lord Shiva. That's what this Shiva Upasana mantra is. It symbolizes if only we can look at every single name and internalize it and expand the light to encompass the entire universe and see divinity everywhere. Through that, we worship that Shiva who is making everything in this world function. If we can keep up that worship, Swami assures in the Gita Vahini that wherever we walk, that place will be purified. Wherever, whatever word which we speak becomes mantra by itself. Whatever you speak becomes a holy mantra. This is the essence of Shivopasana mantra so far. There are a few other following mantras which we'll cover next week. This is what I had prepared. I hope I did not rush through too fast because I am also worried that otherwise it will go on and on for too long. With those words, I will stop. I think some may ask me to. Yes, Brother Dasan, go ahead.
Sairam, brother. Regarding the Atma Linga in Ramayana, Ravana's mother asked to get the Atma Linga from the Lord Shiva. Then he went to Kailas, and there's two lakes there. They're very big, two lakes, over 18,000 feet over. So one is called Manasarva, other one is Rakshasa. So he was meditating beside the Rakshasa lake, and people say Ravana has 10 head too. Sometimes they say, people say quality, sometimes. Then he was, the Shiva didn't appear. Then he started to cut his 9 leg and put it into the Rakshasa lake. That lake, people don't go near to the lake, even the taste also different. And the people always go to the Manaswara lake, but each lakes are beside each other. So, and finally he got the Atma Linga. How we can relate to this Atma Linga, what Ravana got it from Lord Shiva? Thank you, Sairam, brother.
Sairam, brother, it's see, the mind can go towards the world. The mind can goes toward the Lord. The mind is capable of both. I think there are a couple of places where Swami has talked. Our mind is the lake. Manasa Sarovar means the lake of the mind. In the lake of the mind, if we have selfish things offered into that lake, then it's a Rakshasa lake. If it is we offer everything divine in that lake, then it's Manasa Sarovar. So it is the same lake. It can either become Rakshasa or it become Manas Sarovar. The capability of the mind, which is what Swami is telling, when the mind moves in one direction and the senses in another, you are doubly confused. So keep attachments afar, then everything you do becomes sacrifice, yajna. And that's the Atma Linga. Then you attain Shiva in the Kailasha. So I think that's my understanding, brother.
Thank you,
Swami
brother.
has discussed. So it's one lake actually. Maybe one section of the lake. Ravana also went and worshipped. Rama also went. The difference is Ravana wanted the worldly things, so he became a Rakshasa, and it became the same lake can be Rakshasa lake. But the people have given different names, I guess. There, one lake is always choppy, the other lake is very calm. So that's my understanding.
Thank you, brother. Sairam.
It's outside topic, Sairam.
Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam Kalyani.
Ram, uncle. So the last mantra we did, so it's saying that God has established the Sarva Linga in us, and it belongs to the mind, and it belongs to knowledge, and it will purify us and all our thoughts, words, and deeds. But so what exactly is the Sarva Linga or Sarva?
Because my understanding, Kalyani, is, we have described in many different ways that linga. Either, if you look at Jwala Linga, Atma Linga, Parama Linga, Bhava Linga, so many descriptions. This world also, there is multiplicity. Everyone is a linga walking around. So they are all one linga. But the thing is, it establishes, I think you use the word established. Sthapayati means it's establishing. So God is always trying to establish. In the process of establishing in everyone, that lingam, divinity. So that's my understanding. So Sarva Linga means, so it is not multiple lingas. The linga which points to all this multiplicity. That is the way I understand it. Because the realities in this created world, there's multiplicity. The seemingly different things, seemingly different qualities, seemingly different individuals, beings, and so on. But within all this, there's only one lingam. That lingam, which is present in all this, is my understanding, and that is the Advaita, the unity in diversity. Is Sarva Lingam. Sarva is diversity, Lingam is unifying principle. Is the way I understood. I don't know how accurate.
And so, but what does it mean when it says it belongs to the mind and belongs to knowledge?
So when I say belongs to, of the, it's in English, it's a very difficult way to translate. It's the mind's, so it's the reality is the lingam is only needed for the mind, that is your manomaya or the manas, and vijnanamaya, the ability to know. These two need a symbol. So the symbol, the mind also has a purpose, and the faculty of knowledge also has a use. So this linga has to be used by these two. And by using these two, you transcend these two. From manomaya you go to the vijnanamaya you go, and then you are merged in the ananda. So this lingam is only belongs to these two faculties of in us. Because for Anandamaya Kosha, there is no need for lingam. So it relates, rather than belongs to, I would say it relates to the mind, and it relates to our faculty of knowledge. So by using these two, we will be able to perceive or transcend and reach the Atman. That's my understanding. That's why Ramas, Suryasya, Somasya belongs to means it relates to these faculties. I hope you and that's my understanding. So I am sharing.
Sairam, this is Saku Auntie.
Yes, Auntie.
This is what I understood. Correct me if I'm wrong. Jwalaya Namaha means the flame is within us. To reach that flame, you use Manomaya Kosa and the Vijnanamaya Kosa, and you reach that, you understand. You become part of that Jwalaya Atma. Is that the right understanding, or if I'm wrong, please correct me.
I think all understanding is right, Auntie, but because we are at different points, I think different things make sense to us. From what I understand is, when we say the Jyoti is within us, that is also still a limited notion, because we see one small flame inside us. This is what Auntie Manori also asked. Swami is saying it is not appropriate to meditate on a flame. So how is it that we are doing Jyoti meditation? So we have to start somewhere. So initially, when we say, I am divine, until the I becomes expanded, we will think it's a small divinity inside us. But we had to start there. That way, Swami says you have to take that and it has to expand to include your friends, family, your enemies, everyone in this country, the entire world, the universe. So that expansion process has to be worked on. And then only it becomes that real Jyotirlingam or Jwalalingam. But we had to start at some point within us, one small flame, and then we work on it, is my understanding. I hope I am okay. Kalyani, you were okay.
Thank
also?
you. Thank you, Saira.
Kalyani, I hope I made some sense.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. Yeah, I guess I'm just, so when we say Sarva Linga, it refers to all of the different, I guess, manifestations of divinity?
Yes, I would say. Yeah. Yes, Sister Anandi, please go ahead.
Sairam, this is about the explanation about the Paramaya Namaha. And Swami nicely put, first time I heard, and I really liked the rhythm. Ankam, Jankam, Sangam, and Lingam. And I can connect Ankam, body and the action, Jankam, mind and the thoughts, Sangam, words, but I am unable to relate how the Sangam can be connected with the words. I connect words, thoughts, and deeds, and then the Atma, Lingam equivalent to Atma, and a little more explanation about how we can connect the words into Sangam.
Yeah. So the way I understand, Sister, Angam is the body, or limbs. Jangam is the activity, movement. And Sangam is the connection, association, or attachment, Sangam. And that will lead to Lingam. I think I had started, Lingam means that which in which everything merges. In that which everything merges is Lingam. So from what I can understand, this activity of Angam, Jangam, Sangam can be pointed towards the world. Our activity can be create association with the world. That will create bondage. But the activity can create connection with the Lord, with the Lingam, and that will take us to the final state of merger. Because if you, again, we are going to shloka, verse by Adi Shankara in Bhaja Govindam. Satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan mukti. He says this association, how it comes about is from good satsang, good sangam, satsangam, you come to a point of nissangatvam, attachment-less state. From nissangatve, nischalatatam. Once you are detached to the world, there's a nischalatatam. You will never be wavering mind. You will be steady. Nischalatatam. Nischalatatve, jivan mukti. You reach liberation from this world. So the sangam is connection, attachment, association. All that is sangam. It can be towards the world, it can be towards God. And that can, if it's towards God, you are attaching to Lingam, then that becomes the path to final merger with the Lord. I hope I don't know whether I answered your question or not.
Just I maybe I misinterpreted the Sangam side. I thought it's all about what we speak, and I didn't really tie into my thought process about the association with the worldly sight and the maybe inner sight. Maybe now I am clear about that one. That's the part I was missing in my thought process. Now I got it. Thank you.
Because the other Sangam is described by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. Sangat sanjayate kamam, kamat krodho vijayate, krodhat. Like, he says that how we get confused. Like, if you look at the world and get associated, attached with people and things and possessions in this world, that takes you down an opposite road. Kama, you first desire comes. Then you get angry when you don't get it. If you get it, you don't want to share it with the lobha comes. And moha, mother, matsarya, everything comes. And then you vinashyati, he says, you become destroyed. So that is opposite direction. But if you go towards the Lord, to the Atman or Jyoti, then it is you merge in the Lingam. Lingam is that in which we merge also.
But a very beautiful set of words. I cannot forget. This very first time I learned about these 4 words. It's like a rhythm side. Thank you, Saira.
Swami is just amazing. That's all I can say. Just Brother Dasa.
So Sairam, brother, I like to add to a small point too. So that linka, the jewel is an energy, is a flame. So it's like a cell phone. We have a battery. It'll give you energy or to go to a different site and everything. Same thing. This is the Atma jewel. Will give us the energy. As a nature, everyone goes outside. But as you understand, you can pray to that jewel linka to move invertedly, to merge with the linga. Thank you, Sairam, brother.
Sairam, brother, Sairam. So I will just chant, I think. I'm always expected to chant it, so I will just chant this 3 times. Etat somasya suryasya sarvalingak sthapayati pani mantram pavitram. 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 That's all I have. Oh, yes. Brother Kumar has put some Tamil quotation. Sairam, thank you. So if everyone is okay, I think I will give you about 12-15 minutes back. Sorry for being a little late today. We will close with Samastaloka. Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Thank you.
Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om
Shanti.
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 Shanti. Jai Sai Ram.